The Unified Protocols for Transdiagnostic Treatment of Emotional Disorders in Children and Adolescents, or UPC and UPA, really work from a central case conceptualization model that considers that all children who are presenting with significant emotional disorder concerns may be experiencing high levels of what we call neuroticism. Well, what is neuroticism really in children and adolescents? It might be defined by three things. One, that children are experiencing high levels of negative affect or intense negative emotion states. Two, that they're responding to those negative emotion states with a good amount of distress, and that they find that distress really aversive. It's really uncomfortable for them to feel those strong negative emotions. And that third, they may be engaging in a lot of avoidance behaviors, both in their mind and behaviorally, in response to that distress and that strong negative emotion that they're experiencing. So if we're to walk through that case conceptualization model and sort of think through the aspects of neuroticism that may be experienced by any child who has an emotional disorder, what we might say is that no matter what the presenting concern, each child or adolescent that you're working with would have that strong or intense negative emotion state and be responding to it with a certain amount of distress, like saying, I feel uncomfortable in my body. These are uncomfortable sensations to have. I don't like these thoughts and I'd like them to go away. So again, if you're feeling that way, it might be really natural to take an avoidant action or to take some other action to suppress, control, or get away from that strong emotional experience. Now, that might even be an aggressive behavior for some of the children or adolescents that you're working with. Now, why do people do that? Well, in part because it does make that emotion state go down in its intensity for a short amount of time. So it kind of works. And it would make sense that children or adolescents or anybody with an emotional disorder presentation might be relying on those kinds of avoidant or escape-oriented responses too often. The problem is that what we're really learning about how to deal with this situation more proactively or adaptively over time isn't quite as much as we really need to make a different choice the next time. So in other words, when that child or adolescent is put back in that same situation where they're feeling that strong emotion state again, they're going to go through that same process of feeling distressed, finding that aversive, and taking these kinds of avoidant or escape-oriented behaviors to help. So what we're teaching kids in the Unified Protocol is really how to take some different kinds of actions or to be more aware of their emotional experiences and actually extinguish that sort of distress or anxiety that they're feeling to that strong negative emotion state over time. Well, what do we expect to happen when we give somebody the UPC or UPA? Well, we don't expect that they're going to experience no strong emotions anymore. That would be quite unrealistic. What we're really targeting is the reduction of distress or that sort of feeling that this distress is bad and it's got to go away over time. And we're hoping for that to extinguish. And as it does, we're expecting that children are going to take fewer avoidant kinds of behavioral choices, fewer escape-oriented behaviors, fewer aggressive behaviors, and respond more adaptively to the emotional situations that they're in.